The biggest mystery in the Lioness Season 3 premiere isn't the mission in Ukraine, it's what happens after Joe gets home. The episode deliberately shifts from battlefield action to a terrifying attack at her own front door, making one thing painfully clear: Joe's enemies now know exactly who she is. But the real question isn't simply who pulled the trigger, it's who gave the order. And that distinction could completely change the direction of Season 3. Throughout the first 2 seasons, Joe has always been willing to risk her own life, but she kept one line intact: her family remained outside the battlefield. The ending destroys that illusion. What makes this attack so disturbing isn't just the violence, it's the precision. The attackers arrived disguised as law enforcement, suggesting they possessed intelligence, planning, and confidence that Joe would answer the door without immediately suspecting an ambush. That tells us this wasn't a random revenge attack. Someone had studied her routine. If enemies can locate Joe's home, they may also know far more about CIA operations than anyone inside the agency realizes. And that's a much bigger threat than 2 gunmen. The premiere spends a surprising amount of time focusing on the Ukraine operation, and that's probably intentional. On the surface, the mission appears successful. Joe's team captures a valuable Russian intelligence figure, and everyone heads home. But think about what the show is really suggesting. Every successful operation creates new enemies. The capture of such a high-value target almost guarantees retaliation, especially if powerful intelligence agencies begin searching for whoever led the mission. Instead of asking whether Joe completed her objective, maybe the better question is whether that mission exposed her identity in ways the CIA still doesn't understand. Sometimes victory creates consequences that don't appear until months later. The episode refuses to identify the attackers, and that's almost certainly intentional. There are several possibilities. The most obvious answer points toward Russian intelligence seeking revenge after losing one of their own. But the show rarely chooses the obvious route. Another possibility is that someone leaked classified information from inside the intelligence community. If Joe's location became known through compromised CIA information, then the attackers themselves are only the final piece of a much larger conspiracy. The real villain wouldn't be the people holding the weapons, it would be whoever opened the door for them. That possibility makes every future mission and every ally far more suspicious. Joe survives because she's one of the most capable operatives in the series. But this premiere reminds us that even elite operators have vulnerabilities. Her greatest weakness has never been physical, it's emotional. Joe constantly believes she can separate work from family life. Yet every season proves that's becoming harder. Now the danger has reached her doorstep. Once an intelligence officer becomes personally targeted, every decision changes, every mission carries more pressure, every mistake becomes more expensive, and every loved one becomes potential leverage. That's exactly the kind of psychological warfare intelligence agencies specialize in. One clever storytelling choice many viewers may overlook is the timeline. The opening kidnapping happens months after the events shown during most of the premiere, meaning the episode is effectively showing us the destination before explaining the journey. That structure raises fascinating questions. If Joe already knew she had been compromised, why was she still living openly? Did the CIA underestimate the threat? Or was someone deliberately allowing events to unfold? Those missing 6 months may end up becoming the most important mystery of the entire season. The Season 3 premiere gives us plenty of action, but its biggest success is planting a mystery that's far more dangerous than any firefight. Joe eliminated the attackers standing outside her home, but she hasn't touched the person, or organization, that sent them. And if those gunmen were only the opening move, then Joe may already be several steps behind in a game she doesn't even realize she's playing. So here's the question that could define the entire season. Do you think this attack was ordered by Russian intelligence seeking revenge? Or does Season 3 have a traitor hiding somewhere inside the CIA? Share your theory in the comments. The best predictions often come from details everyone else overlooks. And if this premiere is only the beginning, the biggest twist may still be waiting just around the corner. In the opening scene of Special Ops, Lioness Season 3, Joe is exercising at home while international news stories are playing in the background. She takes a shower and squeezes in some family time during breakfast. She's currently working 9 to 5, and Neil is loving it. After breakfast, she sets off on her way to work and calls Caitlin, who is also in the middle of breakfast with her husband, talking about the ruin of media and the death of democracy. She is abruptly rear-ended by a car as Joe inquires about the schedule for the day. Before an elite squad abducts Caitlin, she is able to at least let her know that she has been blackjacked. Caitlin alerts the squad right away. Then, we go back 6 months to when Joe was removed from her temporary position with the CIA in order to meet with a double agent from Ukraine. They have an opportunity to meet Alexei Yurimov, the leader of a vicious Russian military intelligence spy team, thanks to the Ukrainian agent. He is thought to be Putin's second-in-command. The US can take the chance of apprehending him, but the Ukrainians cannot. Suddenly, Joe and her group are integrated with a top-tier Delta Force unit in Ukraine. To blind the enemy's sophisticated aerial drones, they arrive flaming hot in full high-tech gear and cover the area with smoke. Tensions are high once they reach the Delta Force unit bunker, as was to be expected. Cody, the Delta Force unit leader, aggressively sidelines Joe's tight-knit operators in the initial assault mission. But only Joe and Cruz are chosen to participate in the frontline attack. The others stay behind as Overwatch. Although Joe's team is obviously not entirely pleased with the strategy, they nonetheless comply. The remainder of the strategy, which involves utilizing canine dogs and the morning fog to enter the farmhouse and capture Yurimov alive, is briefly discussed. Additionally, they explicitly state that their goal is to protect Joe at all costs until they capture Yurimov. The two groups work together and manage to apprehend Yurimov the next morning. Sadly, a K9 dog is murdered when the North Korean soldiers defending the target are violently taken down. The crew performs a little surgery to remove the tracker from Yurimov's arm after securing the target. As Russian drones launch a counterattack, they swiftly flee with their live victim. The Overwatch team successfully reaches the bunker by covering the area with smoke. Joe's crew tries to gripe about how everything went wrong in the bunker, but she tells them that's not the place to do that. The group manages to smuggle Yurimov into the United States and return home unharmed. When Joe gets home late from the mission, her family is already asleep. She investigates after hearing a knock. She is asked to leave the house by 2 men posing as police officers. But she insists on seeing their names and badges. She removes them when they attempt to break in. Neil is startled to discover 2 dead bodies outside the house when he wakes up. As she calls it in and asks for the FBI's assistance, Joe turns to face him as the episode comes to a close.